Readers Entertainment Radio presents Booklights with your host, author Lisa Kessler. Booklights, where we're shining a light on good books.
Hello, everyone. Oh, my gosh, we made it to 2022. What? Welcome to the first episode of Booklights for 2022. I'm so glad you're here because we have a returning guest. International best-selling author Kathrin Hutson is back with us today talking about urban fantasy, one of my favorite things. So it's going to be a great day. Thanks for tuning in. And if you're listening later, welcome aboard. So if you don't know Kathrin, I'll go ahead and read her bio here so you can get to know her. Kathrin Hutson has been writing dark fantasy, sci-fi, LGBTQ, speculative fiction since 2000 with her wildly messed up heroes, excruciating circumstances, impossible decisions, and happily never afters. She's a firm believer in piling on the intense action, showing a little character skin, and never skimping on violent means to bloody ends. In addition to writing her own dark and enchanting fiction, Kathrin spends the other half of her time as a fiction ghostwriter for almost every genre and as a fiction co-editor for Burlington's Mud Season Review. She is an active member of the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America and the Horror Writers Association. Kathrin also lives in Colorado with her husband, their young daughter, and their two dogs, Sadie and Bruce Willis. I love that their dog is named Bruce Willis. I did put a link to her website right there on the Blog Talk site, so you can click that anytime. Sign up for her newsletter so you never miss a sale or a release. And I don't want to delay anymore. Kathrin, are you there?
I am here, Lisa. Hello.
Yay. Hi. Thanks for coming back. Welcome to 2022.
Right. Woo, we made it. We're still here.
We did.
Oh, I like being that's good. I like being the first guest of the year. That's that feels auspicious. I like it.
Right? Yeah, you're setting the tone for the year.
Oh, boy.
And
that's more pressure.
And we're bringing... Right. And we're bringing demons. So your new book is called A Demon's Trade, right? And it's a brand new series for you,
yes.
Isn't it?
It
You
sure
want to tell everybody why they should grab it?
Oh, I would love to. This is book one in my new series. It's called Damned If She Does. So if that gives you any indication of how this whole series will plan out for this character. This is actually a spin-off series of my Accessory to Magic series, which, of course, is also dark urban fantasy with a lot of action and very fast-paced, go. I released Accessory to Magic last year, all 5 books, and they did then and continue to do very well right now. So I thought it would be fun to dive into a completely different avenue or dark alley with lots of shadows and demons, as it were, and branch out into a new series in the same world, which is super exciting. It's the first time I've done anything like this, with my own books at least. And so A Demon's Trade. Yeah, we are introduced to Collie Sullivan, who most humans who see her would call her a demon. She is a half Matog, a very demonic type of creature set in this universe. And she is a bounty hunter, but she does not go after bad guys per se. She is a self-made bounty hunter who tracks down dark artifacts and cursed magic and all the really terrible things that are out there in the underground magical world, and steals them from people using them and keeps them hidden in her basement so no one can use them. It's a very fun, super fun adventure. She's got a best friend roommate, Heath. They partner together. He's a tech whiz who has a bunch of problems with his own magic, and it's just very fast-paced, dark, she lets her demon side out every once in a while to get what she wants. And I wish I could give more details, but there is a very big spoiler in here about who specifically Kali is. Yeah, she and Jessica Northwood from the Accessory to Magic series are intrinsically connected through a mutual acquaintance, I should say. So I'm really excited for my readers and fans of the Accessory to Magic series to dive into Damned If She Does, because there are a lot of Easter eggs and connections and questions that didn't get answered in the last series that will be answered in this one. So it's a fun new project to dive into. A Demon's Trade, the first book, released on the 28th of December, which I now know I will never again be releasing a book between Christmas and New Year's. But it still worked out very well. Yeah. there was a lot more than I had bargained for, but
yes, we've all eventually learned that lesson, that December releases that are close to Christmas are really tough. So
I know. I had released The Witching Vault, the first book in Accessory to Magic, on December 10th of 2020. And so in my infinite wisdom, I thought, oh, hey, it won't be that bad. It was just bad timing. The release still went very, very well. And, my readers still love the new book. It's great, but it was too much for me personally.
Right. Yeah, when you get close to Christmas, it's so hard to everybody's so busy and you are so busy, so it's very difficult to find the time to really launch something. I had a book come out once, I think it was on December 30th, and that was my learning experience. Let's not do this. It either has to be the first week of December, or let's just wait till January.
Right. That's the best way to learn, though, right? Is by trial and error and more error.
Yeah.
I've definitely picked that up along the way in the last 6 years, for sure.
So I wanted to ask, because Spellcast Gate was the last book in the Accessory to Magic series. Is that the last book in that series? Is that one complete?
It is, yes. That series is complete. It wrapped up with the Spellcast Gate. And so it's just 5 books in Accessory to Magic. And Damned If She Does, I have planned out to be 8 books right now. I'm experimenting with the best lengths for stories and books. But I did end Accessory to Magic and the Spellcast Gate with, it was very open-ended with room for more series in the same universe. I loved this universe so much. I don't think I'll be putting it down anytime soon.
Yay. Well, that kind of leads me to the next thing is as a reader, I love urban fantasy. As a writer, I really enjoy that too. And for me, a lot of it is the world building, the sinking back in with my friends into this alternate world. And what is it about the world building that you love? Is that kind of, what pushes you in this genre, or do you just like having, the one narrator? What draws you to urban fantasy?
Well, for the longest time, I had never considered writing urban fantasy because it just wasn't in my stable, and I was like, I'm a dark epic fantasy, grimdark kind of author, and dystopian sci-fi. I'm going to stick with those. But then I started ghostwriting urban fantasy, and it turned out that I probably should have started writing it a lot sooner. One of the biggest things that made me fall in love with urban fantasy is that I could still make it as dark and brutal and violent and bloody, explosive as I love making, my epic fantasy and grimdark and dystopian sci-fi, especially. But there's also so much room to add in humor, which I have heard, some authors really love writing humor, and some think it's one of the hardest things in the world. I guess it just came to me naturally. So being able to balance, the humor of juxtaposing really intense hardcore magic with, you know, oh, there's a necromancer selling me coffee in the coffee shop, you know, like, is there going to be some issue with dead people in my drinks? Like that kind of stuff. And just meshing the real world that we all know so very well with another sort of magical underbelly hidden realm. And that's been one of my favorite parts of urban fantasy and what makes it, for me, so easy to write. I'm not diving deep down into dark places that I have to stay there for a long time. I can just toss in something completely ridiculous because to me, imagining a world of magic within our current reality is oftentimes quite hilarious. So that's the biggest thing I think that I enjoy about it so much. And then with this universe specifically, I had so much fun writing the Accessory to Magic series because I got to create new lore as I went. I was learning all about it as Jessica was learning about it. New races. There are a few other more well-known magical races like elves and dwarves and fae and orcs. But I added a few new ones of my own, different types of witches. The Matog, like Kali, are demons. They are what humans perceive to be demons. They're the Umbal, which her best friend Heath is, and they operate within interdimensional planes of existence. And then I also got to create the Harash, which is the completely other, different magical world on the other side of the gateway from the Accessory to Magic series, the birthplace of magic, the world where all the magicals had to cross through in a mass exodus to Earth. Very, very fun to be able to, write about the real world, write about things that anybody who reads it will recognize and understand, and also create a completely new world from nothing. And so doing it at the same time, it's very exciting. I already have a framework. I don't have to make up everything from scratch, which is also, that's much more preferable to research, which is the bane of my existence.
Well, and I know as a reader, for me, I enjoy urban fantasy because there is enough real world in there for me to ground myself. It's not quite as hefty as, diving into Lord of the Rings and you're like, wait, what are they? Wait, where are we? Wait, what is, there's not completely different world that you have to learn about, plus characters, plus what's going on. Urban fantasy makes it, for me as a reader, a little quicker to ground myself. Okay, we're in Los Angeles, but there's all these clubs that are run by elves and orcs and, and all that kind of thing. That's fun for me too as a writer to play in is, what if these businesses are really owned by, somebody who's not so human.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's been a lot of fun. I definitely see myself sticking with urban fantasy for quite some time. I'm very happy that I discovered it and that I discovered enjoying it, which is the most important thing.
And are there other genres? I mean, obviously, when you ghostwrite, you're writing in a bunch of other genres, but are there other genres that you would like to put your own name stamp on, or have you?
I have been tossing around an idea for a fantasy Western mashup. It's been on the back burner for a while. Yes, and
a fantasy Western. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. It would be fun. Fantasy Western, I guess those would be the only genres, maybe with a little bit of like military thrown in there for fun. One of my brothers is a paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne Division in the Army, so I have access to a lot of really great information there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I've been tossing that around for a while. Yeah, it's very cool. So we'll see. We'll see what comes of that idea. There's not much more I can say about it there, but beyond that, I think urban fantasy and grimdark epic and dystopian sci-fi are probably where I will stick to the most. And then, of course, I can't ever for certain because I never thought I'd be writing urban fantasy either. So you never know.
So you've been doing this since 2000, and I know our listeners are always curious of what your publishing journey is, and since you do a lot of ghostwriting, I'm guessing that your journey is very different from, the traditional find an agent, find a publisher, or self-publish or whatever. Can you tell me kind of how your publishing journey came to be?
Absolutely. So I did start writing in 2000, and my publishing journey didn't officially start until quite some time after that. I went to the University of Colorado at Boulder for a bachelor's in creative writing fiction. So I was accepted into that program. That helped solidify my desire to continue writing, paired with, okay, I can actually do this. I've been validated by academic
right. Been validated by this piece of paper.
Right, yeah. But I've always known that I wanted to write full time, and I feel so fortunate to have gotten to the point where that's what I'm doing now. So in 2015 is when I published my first book, and that was Daughter of the Draken. Queried this book to, I had like 116 rejection letters tucked away from that one, which was a fantastic learning experience. And then I realized, okay, so nobody wants this book, which is fine. This book that is the Jungle Book meets Kill Bill with dragons. Like, how does no one want it?
Wow,
that's fine. It was fun, exciting.
Sounds amazing.
It was my very first book, my baby. Well, thank you. So I decided to go the self-publishing route, which I discovered over the first 2 years of my publishing journey that, at least for me, there is a difference between self-publishing and being an indie author or an indie publisher. And so when I first published Daughter of the Draken, I did everything myself, and I went through 4 different covers for that book. The first 3 were terrible. But when I released that first book in October of 2015, after having all these rejection letters, it actually did very well. And for, a first book by someone who had no idea what they were doing in terms of publishing. And I released its sequel about 7 months later. And when I released that second book, Daughter of the Draken jumped up to, it was like number 400 in the entire Kindle store at the time for about a month-ish, which was really fantastic.
Wow.
And
yeah.
it leapt to the top of a bunch of charts, and this was in 2015. So things are a little bit different now. But that was pretty huge for me, where I'd taken my very first book that was rejected by all the agents and publishers who were even remotely likely to pick it up or accepted that genre. And then it did so well after the release of my second book that I started to feel like, okay, this is maybe the right path for me to go the indie author route. And so I continued writing with the intention of still kind of using the indie author route as like a back burner, last resort kind of thing. And then I wrote Sleepwater Beat, which is the first book in the Blue Helix series, and that's LGBTQ plus dystopian sci-fi. Queried that as well to a bunch of agents and publishers. Nobody wanted it. so then I released that in, it was the end of 2018, and that book became my first international bestseller, and it got a bunch of awards, in the International Book Awards. It was a finalist in science fiction, and it won 2 or 3 other awards that year. And in 2018, I also wrote and published the Unclaimed trilogy, which at that point, that trilogy was pretty much a challenge for myself. It was about, my daughter was a little over a year old at the beginning of 2018 when I realized, okay, if I don't commit to writing a certain number of words every single day, I'm going to probably never write anything ever again. So I set myself a goal of 1,000 words a day, Monday through Friday, no matter what. And I did that consistently for the whole year. I finished Sleepwater Beat, and I completed and published an entire trilogy. And I think that was the moment that I realized I could make this a viable, sustainable thing for myself, as long as I stuck to a schedule. And holy cow, it was possible to write 3.5 books in a year with a very small child. And then at the end of 2018, I also found ghostwriting, and I just stumbled into that. I watched a webinar given by someone who had been a ghostwriter, and then who was, they sort of did a boot camp kind of thing for people who wanted to break into ghostwriting, and that's when things really took off for me. I had my very first contract for ghostwriting was to write 80,000 words in 30 days. And I said, yeah, sure, no problem, I can do that. And yeah, as soon as I agreed to this project.
That is a lot of words in 1 month. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when I'd never done that before. I didn't know if I could do it, but I did it. I finished it. I did not work again with that same client because it was paranormal romance, and that is when I learned at the time paranormal romance was not for me. I have since grown in the last 3 years, but yeah, so I started ghostwriting, and the projects and repeat projects with repeat clients just kept going. My current clients now I've been working with for 2 years at least. And so that is how I have been able to write full time, all day, every day. My husband's a stay-at-home dad, and so he's homeschooling our daughter. And like I mentioned before the show, he's the one going out of the house, running all of our errands, running our lives, making sure that things don't fall apart while I'm in my office, lost in different worlds. So right now I write about 3 books a month for my clients, and a book of my own every 5 to 6 weeks. And when I released the first book in the Accessory to Magic series, The Witching Vault, that for me marked a defining moment of finally, after 5 years, learning that the indie author route and indie publishing is 100% viable as a source of income. So some things are changing. Some really great things are happening in 2022. Some big changes. I will be moving my schedule around to be writing less, publishing more of my own stuff, and generally enjoying life outside of my office a lot more.
What? You're going to be away from your keyboard?
I know. I might have some serious issues. I didn't say stop writing. I'm not going to stop writing.
No,
that's for sure.
No, but you're going to be able to stretch out your arms and legs a little bit.
Yes. Like I'm very much looking forward to only 5 hours of writing a day, if that. That's what it's. I'm almost there. I can taste it. So yeah, there's my journey.
Oh, very cool. Well, from all these books that you've written, is there any character that you wish you could be that is closest to, who you would want to be?
Oh, so I wish I could be. That's a very interesting question. I absolutely love all of even the terrible ones, probably because they're so terrible. I don't think I would want to be any of my characters ever. Like, I don't envy them their lives or their situations, or their abilities or powers. That's so, you stumped me, Lisa. No, I don't think.
Well, people always ask me if I would want to be a character in my books, and I always go, no, the body count's too high in my books. I don't want to be a character there. But,
there's way too much responsibility.
But I always ask,
way too much guilt.
Right?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Yeah. Oh, good. So I don't feel so bad that I'm not the only one who's like, no, keep my characters away from me, please. That's good.
Right. Yeah, my characters are a little scary. So in all that time that you're constantly writing, do you ever have time to read? Are there urban fantasy series that fire you up to, take it to the next level, or do you have favorites out there?
I have only just recently started breaking into reading urban fantasy, which I know is interesting. I started writing it first. Nothing right now comes to mind. I'm trying to think of urban fantasy. Actually, the very first book, there's urban fantasy that I read that kind of opened my mind to the genre years and years ago was Neil Gaiman's, oh my gosh, it's so terrible, I can't even remember the name.
Like American Gods? Or?
It wasn't American Gods, but I had read that. It was Never. Oh, now
Nevermore.
So silly. No.
Isn't it Nevermore?
It was. Oh, maybe it was. Oh my gosh, it was just in my head and it went right back out. But Neil Gaiman definitely broke me into the genre. I love everything he writes, and the Sandman series as well was novels, not novels specifically. Neverwhere. You had the first word.
There
correct.
we go.
Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere.
I did.
Yes, thank
Neverwhere.
you. Yeah, it was never. Yes. That one and that one. The story really stuck with me. The title obviously did not. I do find time to read, which is insane even to me that I do. Most of the time it's during a break in my day or right before I go to bed. Right now I'm reading The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, and it's not urban fantasy at all. But I'm enjoying it quite a bit.
That's nice.
I also hope to be reading a lot more in the future.
Right? Yeah, now that you're going to have a little more time.
Yes. Exactly.
Well, really quick before we run out of time, what's next for you? What can people look for next?
Ooh, the rest of the Damned If She Does series. Book 2, A Demon's Craft, will be out middle of February this year, so there's not too much longer to wait. And right now I'm just focusing on this 8-book series and getting that out in 2022. But that's what's going on right now. Those are my projects. I do also have a really exciting dark paranormal romance book releasing next week. It's a co-authored book with Rebecca Hamilton, That's called The Vampire's Captive. First book in the Immortal Viking series. Yes, and the book that made me realize I can actually write paranormal romance. That comes out, oh my gosh, no, that comes out tomorrow. So,
oh my gosh, wow. So everyone run out and grab The Vampire's Captive.
Yeah. Yes, it's very exciting, very dark, fairly steamy, so that's also a fun new adventure there.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. Well, it's been so great having you back on, and everyone go grab those books. And gosh, I hope you enjoy having a little extra time on your hands in the future. Hope 2022 is great.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on, Lisa, and happy 2022
thanks for coming
to you
back.
as well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on Booklights. Be sure to connect with us at www.readersentertainment.com for articles, blogs, videos, and podcasts that matter to readers.